Hey, welcome to Pipeline Online. Right now, we are in our lobby of West Cobb Church. We're excited about tonight. In fact, worship is in the lobby tonight.
It's amazing. Such a cool setup. We're pumped about it.
What have you guys been doing in your quarantine? As this has been a crazy, seems like a couple of months now. I know for us, there's a lot of times I don't even know what day it is during the week.
Definitely.
What are some things that you have been doing during this whole quarantine?
Man, we kind of, me and Mara tried to develop a schedule, like, you know, how we would kind of set up our days so everything didn't feel absolutely crazy. But we also, I think about a week in, got this guy.
What?
His name was Hooper, still is Hooper. But a foster down the street was doing a thing where you could take the dog home for free and they give you a crate and everything like that. So we dove in our tiny apartment, and he was like 60 pounds, so he was a big boy. But we got to foster him for like a week and a half, and then unfortunately, and I guess fortunately, he got adopted.
Oh.
And
how crushed are you?
Oh, dude. That hurt
You're not
me
gonna
so
cry
bad.
right now.
I might. It was rough.
He's a cute little guy. What's his name?
Hooper.
Hooper.
Yeah. It was rough, man.
So the struggle for you was so real during the quarantine that you guys actually adopted a dog.
Full out, fostered him.
That is awesome. No, what's this I see here? Are you trying to trying to grow out a mustache here?
Mara, I know you love it so much, but it's not going away. I'm sorry.
In fact, we need to take a vote. If you guys think Sam needs to keep the stash, then you need to say keep it. If you think it needs to go away, you need to send an away emoji. I don't know what that looks like, but engage with us right now. If you're on Facebook, and I know for me, I had a beard, man, it was so nice for about a month and a half. And finally, Catherine just said it's got to go.
See, it's the women.
And so they mess everything up. You guys have seen from several challenges from different churches, the trick shot challenge. We did a tower challenge last week, threw it out on social media. We got some responses. Here, this is Andrew building a tower out of Lego blocks. That tower is over 7 feet tall. Now, obviously, he didn't have my help with this tower challenge because it wouldn't have gone so far. But we got several responses, several people that have built a tower. And in fact, we want to announce to you guys tonight, even before we engage in worship, the winner of the Tower Challenge is Liv, O'Kelly, Olivia, and Andrew. And in fact, this is a crazy story behind it. They were over at our house last week, and they decided, as you guys can see, to do a human pyramid with Andrew on top. Bad news from the beginning. Olivia was not a good foundation, and they fell. And so Andrew falls on the high chair, and Liv O'Kelly literally face plants, actually broke a bone in her arm called the radius bone. And so to the extreme, they've got to win this challenge. Yeah. There's just no way that the $25 gift card outweighs the doctor bills. What are some shows that you guys have been binge watching? I know for me, The Last Dance.
The best.
Bro,
no doubt.
Last night or Sunday night, I just wanted to binge watch another 10 episodes.
I was ready.
But for you, who's the GOAT? Is it LeBron or MJ?
Oh, it's MJ. No doubt. The show has guaranteed that. And sorry, Zach, Kobe ain't even close, bro. Not even close.
No, not even second. For Pipeline, we've got a couple announcements for you. We just want to let you know and be aware of, man, we've been so pumped for beach camp, but just due to the coronavirus, all camps in June are canceled. And so this includes Lifeway, this includes Student Life, this includes any church that's going to a camp, including our camp. And so our camp, Beach Camp, Panama City, is canceled. And so I want you to know this, all refunds are gonna be sent back to you, and so you guys don't have to do anything. You signed up 2 weeks ago, you signed several months up ago. All your balances are going to be refunded to you in the next couple of weeks. July 13th
Let's go.
through the 15th.
All right.
We decided that if we can't go to beach camp, let's try to bring beach camp to West Cobb Church. And so Casey Benson's coming, the band's gonna be here. We have several night themes that are gonna be unbelievable. And so we want to share that with you. Something is coming in the next couple weeks. Be on the lookout for July 13th through the 15th. Mark your calendars, don't go on vacation. It's gonna be the best few days of your summer. And so we're excited. So you have about a minute, go grab something to eat, go use the restroom, go tag a friend, start a watch party right now.
Definitely.
Worship is gonna start in the next couple of minutes.
Don't miss it.
Let's go!
Hello, West Cobb students. Join us in your homes as we worship together.
Just one word, you calm the storm that surrounds me. Just one word, the darkness has to retreat. Yes, it does. Oh, just one touch, I feel the presence of heaven. Oh, just one touch, my eyes are open to see, my heart can't help but believe. There's nothing that our God can't do. There's not a mountain that He can't move. Oh, praise the name that makes a way. There's nothing that our God can't do. Oh, just one word, you heal what's broken inside. Yes, you do. Oh, just one word, and you revive every dream, my God. Oh, just one touch, I feel the power of heaven. Yeah. Oh, just one touch, my eyes are open to see, my heart can't help but believe. There's nothing that our God can't do. There's not a mountain that He can't move. Oh, praise the name that makes a way. There's nothing that our God can't do. There's nothing that our God can't do. There's not a prison wall He can't break through. Oh, praise the name that makes a way. There's nothing that our God can't do. There's nothing you can do, Jesus. Oh, yeah. There's nothing you can do, Lord. I will believe for greater things. There's no power like the power of Jesus. Let faith arise, let all agree. There's no power like the power of Jesus. I will believe for greater things. There's no power like the power of Jesus. Let faith arise, let all agree. There's no power like His power. There's nothing that our God can't do. There's not a mountain that He can't move. No, oh, praise the name that makes a way. There's nothing that our God can't do. Hey, there's nothing that our God can't do. There's not a prison wall He can't break through. No, oh, praise the name that makes a way. There's nothing that our God can't do. Yeah. Oh, 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 yeah. Oh, 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 in the silence steals my voice. You understand me, yes. You understand me, God. And come to me in the valley of unknowns. You understand me, yeah. You understand me, you understand me, God. You understand me. So I throw all my cares before you. My doubts and fears don't scare you. You're bigger than I thought you would. You're bigger than I thought. So I stop all negotiations with the God of all creation. You're bigger than I thought you would. You're bigger than I thought you would. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Lord, oh, you're higher, Jesus. You're greater, God. I believe, but help my unbelief. You understand me, yes you do. You understand me, oh. Help me reach the faith that's underneath. You understand me, yeah. You understand me. You understand me, God. You understand me, oh. So I throw my cares before you. My doubts and fears don't scare you. You're bigger than I thought you would. You're bigger than I thought. So I stop all negotiations with the God of all creation. You're bigger than I thought you would. You're bigger than I thought. Oh, you're bigger than I thought you would. You're bigger than I thought you would. Yes, God, so much bigger, Lord, so much greater, God. Oh, yeah. I will rest in the Father's hands, yeah. Leave the rest in the Father's hands. We sing it out. I will rest in the Father's hands, oh. Leave the rest in the Father's hands. I will rest. I will rest in the Father's hands, yeah. Leave the rest in the Father's hands. I will rest. I will rest in the Father's hands. I leave it all to you. Leave the rest in the Father's I receive your mercy. Your faithfulness is clear to see. It's constant every day. In the morning you sing over me, and I receive your mercy. Your faithfulness is clear to see. It's like the sunrise, it's constant every day. Every breath I breathe, an invitation to believe you are creating something good. Though the season doesn't tell my story, I know you'll move mountains for me. You're just that good, so I'll give thanks to God when I don't have enough, 'cause He's more than enough, and He knows what I need, so I'll give thanks to God when I don't have enough, 'cause He's more than enough, and He knows what I need. He knows what I need, yes. In the silence I choose to believe you're working in the rain. Yes, you are. Though the future isn't clear to me, I trust you anyway. Every breath I breathe, an invitation to believe you are creating something good. Though the season doesn't tell my story, I know you'll move mountains for me. You're just that good, so I'll give thanks to God when I don't have enough, 'cause He's more than enough, and He knows what I need, so I'll give thanks to God when I don't have enough, 'cause He's more than enough, and He knows what I need. Yes, He knows what I need, yeah. So why do I worry? Why do I worry? Why do I worry? God knows what I need. Why do I worry? Why do I worry? Why do I worry? God knows what I need. He does. So why do I worry? Why do I worry? Why do I worry? God knows what I need. So why do I worry? Why do I worry? days to run when I don't have enough, 'cause he's more than enough, and he knows what I need. Oh, you know what I need, yes. You always know, you always know. Father God, we praise you in this place today. God, we proclaim these words over our circumstances. God, we proclaim these words over what we may be dealing with, what we may be going through. God, I pray that you would just intervene in each of our lives today, that you would just give us a peace, that you would give us a stillness, that you would give us the confidence to know that you're there. God, we pray that we would just be focused to you while David brings your word. And that we would just learn something new about you today. We love you. We praise you. Amen.
Hey, thanks for watching online tonight as we continue our series, The Struggle is Real, living a life of social distancing. And for some of you that have heard of this phrase before, you know that it's a certain phrase that's used to emphasize if a certain subject is difficult, a situation. Some of these are funny, some of these are crazy, some of these are out there, and some of these are real. And so tonight, as we kick off and continue this series, I want to reveal and show some of these memes to you as you're watching. And if this is you, man, just let us know so we can better engage with you wherever you're watching, in the living room, with your parents, your bedroom, your phone, your computer. But this is the first one. This is funny. When you're trying to get healthy, but your demons keep haunting you. That might be you right there. And obviously you can see the McDonald's sign in the picture. This is a funny one. This was me as a middle school student. When your mom gives you cash for groceries and there's change left. Everyone always loved that because, I don't have any change, Mom. I don't know what you're talking about. I spent all $20. This one, I only napped for 10 hours instead of 11. Some of you, that struggle is real every single day. That's more of going to sleep instead of a nap. And this is my favorite one. When I see toilet paper is $42 on Amazon. The struggle is real. And that is very real right now because you can't even buy that anywhere. It probably is $42 on Amazon. And all these can be funny. And we can joke around with them, laugh with them, engage with them. That's where I'm at. But when we deal with this topic of anxiety, worry, the fear of the unknown, especially in the circumstance that we're in right now, it can be a struggle. The struggle can be real. And throughout this whole series, we're drawing near to this passage of Scripture in Philippians where Paul is in Rome, but he's actually a prisoner. When dealing with anxiety, fear, worry, he writes these words, and it says this: rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. That's going to be huge for where we land tonight. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. We kicked off the series with that phrase. The Lord is close. He whispers because he's right beside you. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your request to God. If you were in last week, praying through the pain, drawing near to God. Let your desires be known to God because he cares for you and he wants to be right beside you in those times. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. We ended this conversation last week talking about you don't always have the opportunity to control the situation, but you always have the opportunity to surrender it to Jesus. Cast all your anxieties to him, Paul says, because he cares for you. You can't handle it, but Jesus can. You weren't created for it, but give it to God. Let your desires be known. And tonight we're going to dive deeper in this part where Paul says, rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. Now this is a great phrase that we can put on a t-shirt. This is a great phrase we can have on a coffee mug. It's even a great phrase that we can quote to someone, but it's a whole lot easier to quote it to someone than to receive it. It's hard receiving this. Rejoice in everything. What about if my parents are going through a divorce right now? How can I rejoice in that situation, that circumstance? What if I'm a senior in high school and my senior year just got stopped? It ended. It didn't end how I wanted it to end. How can I rejoice in that situation? Or maybe you're a parent watching tonight with your students, or maybe just happen to click into this watch party. You're an adult and maybe you just filed for unemployment. Your pay got cut tremendously by 20-30% for a big season. How can you rejoice in that? You know, it's hard to rejoice in the situation and circumstance sometimes. And so I want us to lean into this moment as, I've asked a few questions with one of our high school seniors about this situation and circumstance that he's going through right now. I'm here with Harrison Owenby, a senior at Hillgrove High School. Harrison, thanks for joining us tonight. First, tell us about just your emotions through all of this. I can't imagine being a senior and finding out that your senior year is over. Obviously not the way you wanted to finish it. Man, just walk us through this. How you feeling? What was your reaction when you found out about all this? Walk us through what this looks like, man.
So at first when it happened, I was just sort of confused. I didn't really know how to feel because it was weird. It was new, different. I just remember my friend joking with me, and he was like, hey, what is this the last day we have to go to school? And I was like, that's funny, and then it happened, and I was like, wow, this is now our reality. And it's a weird feeling. It's just because it's new and no one knows what's gonna happen next. So I feel like it's just confusing more than anything.
It still feels like a dream sometimes. So we're in this series called The Struggle is Real, dealing with anxiety, worry, fear of the unknown, which is very relevant to where everyone is right now. Just for the next couple of minutes, I just want you to be honest, open, and real. That's the one thing I think that I love about you is you don't shy away from that. And so I got a couple of questions for you that deals with anxiety. And I just want you to walk us through this, okay? So first question is this: when did you notice anxiety in your life, and how has that played a role?
So anxiety has always been around, and it's been a part of my life for as long as I can remember, even way back to like elementary school. When I played baseball, I would get nervous when I came up to bat, or before cross-country races, I would be overcome with nerves, and I feel this gut-wrenching feeling inside myself, and I always thought it was normal. I never really assumed that something was wrong. It felt normal. I normalized it, and I was like, hey, I'm sure everyone else is going through this. I didn't really notice this anxiety, that it was a problem for me, until like about last year, around senior year, like when it started. And I was like, because I have to start my life, and I got a little more overwhelmed than I normally am, and I was like, I should probably do something about this. I realized this isn't normal. This is something I should probably talk to someone about.
Yeah, it happens, and it seems like anxiety is man, there's tons of students, college students, even adults that are struggling with this more and more. So what has helped you when you feel anxious, when you get this sense of anxiety and worry? What are some things that have helped you to cope with this in those times?
So when I normally have like anxiety bouts, I tend to overthink and overanalyze. So it helps me a lot just to take a step back and look at it from a whole perspective rather than just myself. And I'm like, hey, everything's okay, you're fine. And also, it helps me thinking about how big and mighty God is, because that's probably one of the biggest things for me, is just realizing that God is way bigger than this, and He's brought me through everything, and that He's going to be with me throughout this time, and any time that I'm overcome with worry. I know that He's always there, so that always comforts me.
That's some good truth. And the last question I have for you, and hopefully hundreds of people are watching this, what encouragement would you give to someone watching that battles with anxiety, worry, fear of the unknown? If you could give one sense of advice to someone, what would that be?
Don't push it down. I would recommend, don't be afraid to talk to somebody, because that's what kind of helped me with it, realizing that, hey, this isn't normal. Don't allow yourself to normalize it and let yourself struggle, because then that'll just make things worse. You shouldn't isolate yourself from that. It's not very good, and it's helpful to be open with people, and so they can know, and that you can realize that, hey, I need to talk to someone and see what I can do to help better myself about it.
That's good. And one thing I got from what you just said is to let people in your life. Don't feel like you can do it by yourself, because you can't. And that's hard, especially right now, because living a life of social distancing, it's easy to isolate yourself. But there's so many aspects and ways that we can connect with people and let people in, whatever we're going through. And so, man, Harrison, thanks for being here tonight as we dive through this series, as we just are real open and honest. The one thing I love about you, and we've been meeting for a year now, just weekly, me, you, and Noah at Dunkin' Donuts, and just getting to know each other, diving scripture, memorizing, kind of keeping each other accountable. Man, I'm proud of you. And I think a lot of times you think I'm doing more of the challenging and equipping, but you have equipped me, and you've challenged me, and you've poured into me just as much as I've poured into you. And so thanks for being here tonight as we dive through this, man. How could Paul rejoice in prison? This was Paul's dream, to eventually make it to Rome, have endless opportunity there. If I could just take the gospel to Rome, it could go farther and faster. And in reality, Paul was in Rome, but except he was in prison, chained up, locked up by guards 24 hours a day. And how can he rejoice in situation like that? And this is what I want us to lean into tonight as we switch focuses, is this. It's all about perspective. It's all about perspective. This is what perspective is. Perspective is how you see something. How you see something. Two people can hear and see the exact same situation, but have different perspective on it. Same person, same story, same outcome, different perspectives on it. And this is what the Latin word means for perceive. It means to look through something. And so how do we look through with a different perspective. Now, I'm not minimizing any situation. I'm not minimizing any circumstance. Some circumstances that we go through, if we're just honest, are horrible. They're terrible, and they suck if we're just honest. So I'm not minimizing any circumstance or situation, but I want to show you a perspective that a lot of times we have. I have in my own life, I have had this perspective of a situation and a circumstance when it relates to our own life and especially where we are today. This is not a passage of scripture. This is just a different translation of what this could look like in Philippians 1. It says this in the David Doyle translation. Now, I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that what has happened to me really sucks. Let's just be honest. Maybe you're there. This social distancing, this isolation, this quarantine, this coronavirus, it has just messed you up. And maybe you're going through something even deeper, a deeper situation, a deeper circumstance that it just sucks right now. God let me down. Have you been there before? I'm overwhelmed with anxiety, depression, and hopelessness. Because of the crap I've been through, I'm done. I am taking a break from church for a bit, and I'm going to start doing things on my own timing, my own way. We do this all the time, this perspective. No senior year, it ended completely how I didn't want it to end. Many things happen in our lives, family, relationship. Heck, the final straw, beach camp was just canceled. I'm done. That's enough. My life is over. Now, remember, I'm not minimizing the situation, because some circumstances and some situations are awful. I struggle with this just as much as you struggle with this. But what if we had a different perspective over our situations? Look what Paul says in Philippians 1. This is what he really says, the other perspective. Now, I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that what has happened to me has actually served to advance the gospel. It has actually served to get the gospel out further and faster. As a result, it has become clear throughout the whole palace guard and to everyone else that I am in chains for Christ. A different perspective. Paul says to rejoice always. And again, I will say rejoice. Good things happening in your life. Bad things happening in your life. All situations, all circumstances. Rejoice always. This isn't the first time that we actually see Paul in prison. In fact, we see this in Acts 16 where Paul and Silas are together in Acts. This is the first time that we see the gospel really go forward. People were finding Jesus, it seems like every week, every day, even every hour. And so we see the church really starting in this movement. And Paul and Silas are reaching people, they're sharing the gospel, and people are mad. Imagine that. And there's riots that are taking place, and Paul and Silas get thrown into prison, and we see this in Acts 16. The crowd joined in the attack, the riots, the controversy, they joined in against Paul and Silas, and the magistrates ordered them to be stripped and beaten with rods. Now, I'm not saying that you've been there, have been stripped and beaten with rods. Probably not. Maybe you have older sister and brother and they've done that exact same thing to you. I don't know. But most of us have not been in that situation or that circumstance. But maybe you've been stripped with your confidence. Maybe you've been stripped with your joy. Maybe you've been stripped with your faith right now. Maybe you're there, and I'm going to be honest with you. There's several times in my life that this has been me. Even as a pastor, I have allowed people and situations to strip me of my confidence. Things that I would see as strengths have become weaknesses because I've allowed voices in my life to get me at the lowest of lows. There's been times that I've even questioned if I'm even being a good pastor, if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And a lot of times, sometimes I've even thought about, is this all that ministry is? Do I need to be doing something else? I've allowed confidence, I've allowed joy, I've allowed faith to be stripped many times in my life. And maybe you're there right now. Maybe that's been you in the past. And Paul and Silas are going through this right now. Your anxiety has been stripped. Your joy has been stripped. Your confidence has been stripped. And look what it says in verse 25. It says this, about midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God. And the other prisoners were listening to them. So they're in prison in Acts 16 because of them sharing the gospel, because of doing these things. They were beaten, they were thrown into prison, and now they're praising Jesus. They're worshiping. They're actually having a worship night in jail. They're having Jesus jams right now. And other people are listening in. And it's just crazy. And some of you are thinking, how in the world can they be praising Jesus in the circumstance, in the situation that they're in? It's crazy. And here's the thing that I think that they would want to share with us, even in today's society and culture, is this. They weren't praising because of the circumstance, but praising because of who God is. They weren't praising because of the what. The what really was horrible. They're in jail. They're trapped. They're locked up. They're filled with anxiety, worry. The what was difficult. But that didn't stop them from praising the who, which is Jesus, which is God is good. God has always been there before. Their circumstances sucked. But Paul says, rejoice always. It says this in verse 26. Suddenly, there was such a violent earthquake that the foundations of the prison were shaken. At once, all the prison doors flew open, and everyone's chains came loose. And so this is Paul and Silas. They're in jail. They're having Jesus jams, a worship night. Everybody is kind of locked in this moment. And suddenly an earthquake comes. Chains are falling off. Doors flew open. And all of a sudden, they were free. They were free. Sometimes, I want you to really hear me on this, and I want you to write this down. Sometimes the key to freedom is the perspective of praise. Sometimes the key to freedom is the perspective of praise. It's having a different mindset. It's knowing that your situation and your circumstance is difficult. No one is minimizing that at all. But it's having a different perspective where Paul says to rejoice always. Again, I will say rejoice. The key to freedom in your life is the perspective to praise. Praising God, drawing near to God in this situation. Anxiety doesn't have to win. Worry doesn't have to win. Fear of the unknown doesn't have to win in your life. You can have freedom when you have a perspective of praise. And the last thing I want you to write down, and we're about to close tonight, I don't want you to miss this. I don't want you to tune out. I don't want you to go to something else. I want you to be locked in this moment right now as we end, is this: God can take your mess. What is a mess? The situation that you're in, the circumstance that you're in, your past guilt, your past shame, the junk in your life, maybe the things you're dealing with right now. God can take that mess and he can turn it into a miracle. The key to freedom in your life is to have a different perspective. A perspective of praise. Not knowing the situation or what's going to happen, but leaning into and leaning back and following after God, because God cares for you. Paul says to give everything onto him because he can handle it. You can't. And I don't know where you are tonight watching this. I don't know where you are spiritually. I don't know if you just tuned in because you saw someone share this. But this is what I do. This is what I know. That God can take your mess, your shame, your guilt, your mistakes, and he can give you freedom tonight. He can change your life, and maybe you're there. Maybe there's never been a time in your life where you've surrendered your life to Jesus. You said, God, I need you to come into my life, and I need you to change it. I've tried so many different things, and it seems like it's not good enough. I always go back to where I've been. And the key to freedom is for you just to have a different perspective. What if you said yes to Jesus? What if you said, God, I need you to change my life. I can't do it on my own. And the Bible tells us, God shares this, that when you say yes to him, he comes into your life and he gives you a different perspective. He gives you joy. Not that you're going to be perfect, because you're not, but now you have someone standing in the gap right by your side saying, let's do this together. And so I want to encourage you, if you're there tonight, if you seem hopeless, if you seem like you can't do it, there's never been a time that you have said yes to Jesus, I want to encourage you to text the word HOPE to this number on the screen. This is a safe and secure number, and what this does is it just allows us to follow up with you, to share, to celebrate with you. God has created you for community and not isolation. And one of the mistakes we can do is to not let people in our life. And so if this is you tonight, you're saying, I need Jesus. I need Jesus to change my life. I need to surrender to him. Will you text HOPE to this number? It's the greatest decision that you can ever make. Don't miss it. As we close tonight and as we respond, we're going to be singing a brand new song that we've never sang before, and there's so much power to these words. I don't want you to tune out. I don't want you to click out of this, because this could possibly be the most important time of the night. Cast everything unto God. God cares for you. He loves you, and what he wants you to do is to lean back and just worship and draw near to him. So listen to these words, sing these words as we respond tonight and as we close.
Before I even knew space to breathe. So I'll stay still until it sinks in. And I will lean back in the loving arms of a beautiful Father. Breathe deep and know that He is good. He's a love like no other. Sing, you will never leave. You will never leave. Your love sustaining me. Before I even knew what love was, you brought me here to rest, given me space to breathe. So I'll stay still until it sinks in. So I will lean back in the loving arms of a beautiful Father. Breathe deep and know that He is good. He's a love like no other. We can see this place. It's nice to see. Now I can see your love is better than all the others that I've seen. And I'm breathing deep all of your goodness, your loving kindness to me. And now I can see your love is better than all the others that I've seen. And I'm breathing deep all of your goodness, your loving kindness to me. And now I can see your love is better Breathe deep and know that He is good. He's a love like no other. Oh yes, oh Father. Man, Pipeline, we love you guys so much. We hope you guys are continuing to invite your friends to Pipeline Online as we just continue to pursue Jesus in these crazy, crazy times. Sometimes I think that song is so awesome and giving us perspective with where we're at. Man, sometimes we just need to take a deep breath, realize our situation around us, and realize that God's in control. Lean back in His arms, God, knowing that He's in control of this. He's holding your future, but He's also holding you. So Pipeline, we love you guys so much. Don't miss next week.